I'm gonna show you guys how to create enemies that can spawn items. So we have our scene here. We have our enemy prefab. I want to make it so when our bullet hits an enemy, there is a chance that when an enemy is destroyed, the enemy spawns a power up. To do that, we need to create two things. First, we want to establish an interaction between our bullet prefab and our enemy prefab. Because right now, when we hit an enemy with a bullet, it just collides. Well, we want them to collide, but we want to make it so when a bullet prefab hits or collides with an enemy prefab, both objects are destroyed. And when an enemy object is destroyed, there is a chance for a power-up to spawn in the scene. Before we get into the power-ups, we need to make so our enemy prefabs can be destroyed. And to do that, we need to create an individual script for our enemies. We already have our enemy manager script, which controls all of the enemy prefabs in our scene. And in addition to that, we need to create a new script, which is gonna be our enemy script. Every enemy object is gonna run this individually. So let's get into the script and start coding. We'll create an onCollisionEnter method, which will write by writing the following: private void onCollisionEnter. Then, when our enemy collides with something, we want to check the collider's name. The name of the object that collides with our enemy. Our bullet prefab is simply called bullet. So we're gonna create an if statement which says if collision game object name starts with bullet. Then when this happens, we want to destroy both the bullet object and the enemy object. So we'll write destroy game object and then destroy collision game object. Let's go to our editor and test this out. Oh, actually, we need to assign this. We need to assign the script to our enemy. There it is. There. As simple as that. But anyway, let's move on. Now that we have the collision event established, we're gonna get into how we can establish power-ups into this project. First, all we need to do is create 3 new prefabs, which I'm gonna do by copying the player object. These 3 are gonna be our power-up objects. First, we're gonna change their names. These 3 power-ups will have different effects. So, for example, this one is gonna be power-up shield. This one will be power-up triple shots. And then this one is gonna be power-up rapid shot. And then we need 3 new sprites for these objects. So let's import 3 new PNGs into our project. I downloaded some stuff from the internet, some free assets. I'm gonna post the link of the original and only these 3 in my video description. So let's grab these, drag them into our sprites folder. There we go. Then we're gonna convert these to sprites. selecting all three. These texture types are not going to be default, but instead they are going to be sprites, and sprite mode is going to be single, just like we did with the player and the enemy sprite. Now let's assign these. Power up shield should be, it can be any color you want, but for me power up shield is going to be the blue one. Power up triple shot is going to be yellow, and rapid shots is going to be green. They are a bit small, but that's okay. Now we need to make these three objects or new prefabs. So let's select them and then put them into our prefab folder. As simple as that. Now, while coding our power-ups, we need two scripts. Just like we did with our enemies, we have an enemy spawn, enemy manager script, and an enemy script. With the same logic, we're gonna have a power-up manager script and a power-up script, an individual script. So let's create both of them. Next, we're gonna create a power-up, an empty object right here, and we'll call it power-up manager. Now, for now, the only purpose this power-up manager is gonna serve is be a storage for our power-up prefabs. You'll see what I mean in a sec. For now, let's open our power-up manager script and get into coding. In here, all we need to do is establish our three power-ups so that they can be called in other scripts. Let's create three variables: public game object, shield, public object. Saving this, we're gonna assign these variables in the editor. Which one is this? Rapid shots. This one is going here. This one is the shield. This one is going here. And the triple shot is gonna go in this slot. Then we're gonna create our power-ups individual scripts. All three of these power-ups are gonna share the same script. This script will simply have, all this script is gonna have is our power-ups moving. When a power-up is spawned, we want it to slowly move downwards until it is out of the map. So we're gonna start working on that by creating a creating a speed variable. Let's make it 4F. Let's see how that works. Then with each update, we're gonna call it transform translate. We'll write vector3 back. Then we're gonna add the speed variable. We're gonna add time delta time. Is this because of this? Yeah, okay. Now the next thing we want to do is create a connection between our individual enemy script and our power-up manager script. so that our enemy script can use these three variables that we created in the Powerup Manager script. We'll start doing that by creating a variable that will be our Powerup Manager script. We'll write public, should be public. Let's make it private. Then for its variable type, we're gonna give it the script's name, Powerup Manager. Then in the start method, we're gonna write Powerup Manager equals to object get. Oh, that doesn't exist. Find first object by type Powerup Manager. Basically, what this does is find the first object by type, goes through the entire scene and all its objects, and it picks up the first object that has the Powerup Manager component. So it will look through the entire scene, and it will pick up the object that has the Powerup Manager script as its component. Okay, we have that established. Now all we need to do is get into how we can spawn our power-ups. We're gonna first create a variable for our drop chance. We're gonna write private float drop chance. It's gonna be between 0 and 1. I'm just gonna assign it a value of 1 so that we can see how it works. Then in here, when an enemy object is destroyed, we're gonna create an RNG that is centered around our drop chance. So we're gonna write if random value, let's say random value is bigger than our drop chance. So what this random value does is return a random float value between 1 and 0, as it says in its description. So if our drop chance is bigger than this value right here, we're going to create a second RNG which will be used to determine which power-up is going to be spawning. We're going to write int, we can call it roll, simply roll, and it's going to be a random range between 0 and 3. So it's gonna be 1, 0, 1, and 2. Finally, depending on the result of this roll, if roll is 0, then we're gonna spawn in a shield power-up. Instantiate. We'll write Powerup Manager dot shield. So we are looking inside the Powerup Manager script and getting its shield variable. Both three Powerup game objects, Powerup variables are public, so they can be accessed by the enemy script. So we're gonna spawn a shields Powerup. We're gonna spawn it where the enemy object was before it's destroyed. And then finally, for its rotation, we're gonna write Powerup Manager. Not that. Powerup Manager. We're gonna get into the script again. Pull out the shield variable again. But this time, we're gonna assess the variables rotation. Now we're gonna do the same with your triple shot and our rapid shot power-ups. And that is done. Right now, with our drop chance being 1, every time we destroy an enemy by shooting a bullet through it, it can spawn in a power up. It's either gonna be a shield, a triple shot, or a rapid shot. So let's get back to our editor and test this out. Oh, hold on. I forgot to remove the player controller from these power-up prefabs. And in its place, we're gonna add our power-up script to all 3 of them. Now let's see if this is gonna work. Well, shit, that sucks. Hold on, let me look into this. I'm gonna be back. Okay, let's try this. Both our enemy objects and our power-up objects have both colliders and rigid bodies, so they collide with each other. To fix that, I'm gonna try making our power-up objects triggers instead of colliders. So let's make all 3 of them colliders. And then in here we need to add an important detail. We're gonna write space word. Now let's get back to our editor. Let's see if this is gonna work. All 3 of these are triggers, alright. There we go. That is perfect. That is not so perfect though. One more detail, and this is gonna be the last one. We want to make so both our enemies and our power-up objects get destroyed when they pass this threshold right here. So we have our enemy right here. It's gonna move downwards until it reaches the end of the game scene, and at that point it will be destroyed. We're gonna do that by first calculating at what point we want the bounds to be. We can make it -12. First, let's do our changes in the enemy script. We're gonna state that if our transform position x, not x, z is equal to 12, not positive 12 though, -12. When that happens, we want to destroy our game object. We want to do the same with our power-ups too. Now let's test our gameplay. I did something wrong. Is it the other way around? Hold on. I'm pretty sure it's the other way around. There we go. So we have a power up object right here. It's gonna go down, and there it is. Our enemies are still buggy, but you can see that once they go down a certain point, they are also destroyed. Cool, that's it.